little while ago, Sarah Renee Clark kindly sent me volume 2 of her color cubes. And if you're a regular in my channel, you've seen me use the palettes here and there. But today, I want to use the cubes in a super fun and challenging way by trying a random palette coloring challenge. So today I decided I am going to use cube number 4 because for this version of the color cubes, Sarah has put all the palettes in categories, and cube number 4 is the one I'm more excited to try out on my new coloring book. So there's 1,000 cards with color combinations between all 4 cubes, which means 250 cards on each cube, neatly divided in categories. The possibilities are endless. And I said volume 2 before, I meant second edition. And I'm using cube 4, which will be volume 4 in the second edition. So because for volume 2, the way the boxes are designed is that the lid, well, these are wooden now. The lid is also a container where you can put some of your cards in so you can easily search through the palettes. I'm gonna take half of the colors and put them here so that I can move them better and get a palette at random. And I am a little bit nervous about this because some of these colors I've never used in any of my coloring pages. Okay, how do I do this? I think maybe I'm going to remove the little tabs so I don't feel them when I choose my color palette. Okay, that's gonna make it harder, and I am going to, I think I'm going to choose from one half first and then the other, because if not, I'm just going to use 2 hands and that doesn't make any sense. Okay, so here we go. Okay. Number 1, you're seeing it before I do. And it is, oh, okay, this is certainly a dark one. 784. Okay, let's see how it goes. Here's a closer look at that first color palette. And it's from the Cyberpunk collection. Cyberpunk, definitely not something I would have chosen on my own. So yeah, I was going to choose a page at random to color, but honestly now I am a little bit intimidated and I need a little bit more control. So I am going to choose the page. Oh, I also forgot to mention, I'm going to be ranking the color palettes, my excitement to use them, and how I feel each page turns out once it's fully colored to choose my favorite page of the day. So I'm ranking this first card at a 1.5 because I was excited for bright new colors I don't use, and because the reference image on this one suggests a glow effect, which I am going to try. I'm a little worried about how to apply this. This is a page I'm using, and today I'm going to be working on my latest coloring book, Cozy Forest. Yes, this is a coloring book I made. And since I published my first coloring book, I've gotten a lot of questions on how to make and publish your own coloring book. Well, today I'm happy to share that our sponsor, Skillshare, has the answer to that question. In case you don't know, Skillshare is an online learning community focused on creative and professional skills. It offers thousands of video-based classes in design, photography, illustration, art, and so much more. And of course, I found many classes on how to create your own coloring books. So amazing! Like this class taught by Molly that I took. And you're probably wondering why I took a coloring book making class when I've clearly already published some books. Well, because I still had some mistakes I need to correct. I had questions, and Molly's class is so comprehensive that it shows you not only how to illustrate your pages, but also holds your hand through the whole process of publishing, considering things like marketability, choosing themes, improving the cover art, and marketing on Amazon. The best part is you can join a class and you won't be doing it alone, since the classes are designed to have community interaction. You'll get to share the projects with your classmates and showcase what you create. If you are interested in joining Skillshare, now is a great time because the first 500 people to click the link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen will receive a 1 month free trial of Skillshare. So thank you, Skillshare, for sponsoring this video, and back to today's coloring adventure. The next step is to choose colors similar to the card. I'm going to use alcohol markers today, and I swatched the colors that I found to be the closest. And I just chose the darkest colors first, since I'm going to use those first in the background. I want a dark background for this page because I want to try the glow effect, like I said, and I want it to pop. Instead of coloring the entire background with a solid color, I'm going to do a bokeh effect. And after trying it a few times on other pages, my favorite way to create this effect is by filling the area with circles of different colors and have them overlap until I fill the entire space. This is a very satisfying process, and also it's a great way for not to use out one marker in the background. You can dry out a marker by using it in the background, and the result is always pretty. It's really, really hard to mess this one up, so try it because everything sort of works. Now that I have all of my circles where I like them and the background looks fully colored, I'm going to draw more circles on top using the colorless blender. These new circles on top really create the blurry lighting effect we're looking for. And after I'm done painting those, I'm going to use this acrylic marker to draw smaller dots, which I'll smudge with a Q-tip on top. I have a more detailed explanation for this effect on this video if you want to check it out. The background is done, so now for the character, I'm choosing the lightest grays of the card. I think it's the most fitting, and then I will leave the brightest reds and the glow effect for the flower. I'm going to start by coloring its ears so I don't confuse them for the flower petals later. All done. Time to choose reds. And I always struggle with red and pink colored palettes and choosing those colors. Something about the undertones, I don't know. It's really hard for me. So that's why I swatched all of my reds and pinks together on this page of my coloring companion so that I can better see them, and so I can also see how they look on the same type of paper as my coloring books and try to understand the undertones of the colors better. Honestly, I could not really find the perfect color for this to match my card. I chose the closest one, and for the wings, I'm going to try to layer 2 colors to see if I get any closer. But no, what I colored looks too salmon, a little bit too orange. So, okay, I'm going to carry on regardless, and I'm going to use the dark maroon for the bow, and the closest red I found is going to be for the entire flower. Petals are all colored, so a little bit of shadows for them, and I'm going to place some purple on the background, even though it's not on the swatch card. But because I see a bit of purple on the reference image I'm using, I'm going to use it too because I think it might help making the flower actually look like it's glowing. We'll see. I think the petals need a darker shadow, so I'm going to put that on, and it's time to add details. I'm going to outline the wings of the character, and using the acrylic marker, I'm going to create a little design in them because I like the wings to look like butterfly wings. Now I'm going to outline the entire flower petal by petal with a similar color. Since this is a part I'm going to try to make look like a glow element. While that dries, why not a bit of acrylic on the outline of the character too, so I can make it look fuzzier, and a few little dots on the butterfly wings. I've been doing this a lot lately. I don't know why. I just like the effect of the dots on there. To try to make it look like it's glowing, I'm adding a thin white line in the middle of the colored outline, and I don't think this is working, so I'm going to use a hot pink and outline again in the hopes of making it look fluorescent. It worked a little better, but honestly, I still have a lot to learn to create this type of effect with my coloring pages. I think this needs to somehow glow more, so I'm going to use pink and white acrylic marker around the flower, and I'm going to smudge it to create the soft lighting around it. And finishing with some white highlights and adding a few white dots on top of the bokeh background. Okay, so that's my first color palette done. This is my result. I like it, but honestly, I give my interpretation of the color palette a 1.5. Like somewhere along the way, I got a little bit lost and I don't think the colors necessarily match. But I give my page a 4 out of 5, maybe a 4.5. What do you think? Because I do really like the result. I think it turned out super, super cute. So I'll tally the scores of all of the color palettes and pages at the end of the video to see which was more successful and easier for me to do. For now, let me move on by choosing another color palette and then maybe clearing out some space because now I have a mess. Now I'm going to choose a color palette from this half of the cube. Let's see. I don't want anything darker. I really don't want something dark again. Come on. Is that 1? 2. Okay. You're going to see it first. No. I just said I do not want something dark again. Oh no. So this is pretty dark. Okay, at least it has that bright yellow, that amber color on there. Yeah, so I rate my excitement for this one at a 1 out of 5 because I just said I do not want to do dark colors again. Let's clear the space and start over. Okay, I'm switching to voiceover to apologize for that footage. I did not notice the camera was tilted and on focus. I probably got knocked out, maybe by my dogs. I don't know. I just want to apologize for that footage. Here's a closer look of the second color card. It comes from the collection of signature drinks, which is crazy how many bright, cheery, colorful options there are in this collection. But well, this is the one I got. I chose this page because of the little frog, because of the green. Yeah, that was my thought process. So again, chose all of my colors, finding the most similar ones to the card, and then I swatched them on a separate piece of paper. For this page, I took a different approach and decided to color everything first. And then, after I've used all of the colors and filled all of the spaces, I'm thinking about any possible effects, making it easier on myself, hopefully. So the character became this warm brown, and then I chose yellow for the background, which I colored in a gradient so I could use a little bit more of those different shades of each color. When I drew this page, I imagined the character splashing around in the rain, but because of the color card, now I'm turning the puddled rainwater into a puddle of mud. I'm going to do a little bit of a gradient for his mushroom hat and the same thing for the wings because I could not decide which color to use on them. The raindrops on the leaves I'm keeping as water, so a little bit of the main colors on them, and then I colored them in with a really light green to blend everything. After everything was colored, I decided to use the black from the color palette on the background to make everything pop out a little bit more. Everything I colored is dry now, so I'm adding details, texture for the leaves and some shadows, shadows on everything else to separate the foreground and the background. A bit of texture on the character and the cute frog. I had fun with this one, giving it some spots. Again, bringing in an acrylic marker and I'm doing dots on the wings. And because I have this bright background, I'm going to use yellow for some of the highlights of the page to give this sort of golden hour effect. Then I went over the outlines of the mud with brown acrylic marker to separate them from the black background, white highlights on the water drops, shinies on its eyes, and that's it. Okay, so that was page number 2 for how low my excitement was for this color palette. I think we did okay. I like it. It's not dark. I think it's bright and beautiful, even though it has a lot of black around it. I do want to mention with black, even though I've tried to have paper in between the pages, it usually yellows the pages behind and in front of it. So today I'm going to try to varnish it in the back and the front and see if that helps. I'm going to use my spray varnish, my canvas spray varnish that I use for everything. And I'm going to let you know if that keeps my pages from yellowing. So for this one, I think my interpretation of the color palette of the card is a 3.5. I like it. I think you can tell it came from that palette. And for the page, what did I give the last one? I don't remember, but I'm giving this one a 4. I like it. Yeah, maybe even a 4.2. I don't know, 4.25. Okay, let's move on and let me grab another one. Let me get my boxes here. Let's see what I get. I know this box has plenty of beautiful bright color palettes, so I really hope I get one. Let's see. Let's see what I get. Now I want something bright and like cheerful, just because I mean, I know this page turned out great. I really, really love it and it's bright and beautiful, but I want to try something different. No more dark colors, please. I'm gonna go with this one. Okay. Is it dark? One, two, three. Yay, finally. Okay, so this is more of a pastel color palette. Let me clear the space and we'll start with this one. In case you didn't notice, my excitement for this card is a 5. I am really excited about this one. It's a nice color combination. I haven't tried it and it's pastel. I wanted something lighter. I also think the result is going to be soft and beautiful, and I think that it will match the vibe of the illustration nicely. I chose a page and I matched the markers as best as I could. Now, when I search, there's some markers I won't be able to use because they are drying up, and some that I chose that weren't really matching my card, so I crossed all of those out. Because it worked so well with the previous page, I'm trying to do the color in everything first approach on this one, and I'm going to make a note here with hindsight after reviewing the footage and in voiceover. I think with this page, I failed at choosing which colors to apply where. But anyhow, back to the page. I decided to be brave and color the sky with a peach gradient. And then the lightest marker was about to dry out. Ugh. It's okay. I changed the gradient a bit and adjusted, making the lightest part smaller. Finished the gradient, crossed out the marker that I just discarded from my swatch card, and carried on to the main character. For this one, I chose the bluish greens or teals and light gray for the snail. I had to switch colors in the middle of filling it because I found another dry marker. I think you can barely tell, so onward, and suddenly this character seems way too green. So I'm gonna go over it with a little bit of light blue just to try to match the color card better. I still had to use that dark terracotta, so I thought just having it on the flowers would work well, and then I could do the grass and leaves with the darker color as well. Another marker that's almost drying out on the grass. Oh, yay. But I managed to slowly color in the entire area by leaving it alone for some time and then coming back to it to finish it. I was going to color the body of the snail with the darker shade of platinum gray, but as soon as I put the first stroke down, I disliked it. So I turned it into a bold shadow. I ran out of colors for the butterflies, so I'm gonna go with the darkest peach tone and I'm gonna go over them a few times to make them darker. I tried to sush up the character with shadows, trying to make the character match the hard shadow on snail, but I think I just ruined the page further. Then I tried adding an extra layer of pale blue to the chunky to fix it, and I used a very, very light peach for the body of the snail, drew a pattern on the wings, favorite part. I love drawing the pattern on the wings, and then gave everything else a little bit of shadows. I thought I would stipple some texture on the little butterfly wings, and that looked horrible, so I just ended up blending that color, that terracotta color, into the wings. I finally add some highlights with the white acrylic marker and done. Okay, so here's the final page, and I have to be honest, this is the last one and is the one I like the least. I was most excited about that color palette, but then the result is I don't love it. I rate my interpretation of the palette a 3.5, maybe a 3. And then for the coloring page, I'm gonna be nice to myself and give myself a 2 out of 5. I just don't like it that much. It's not. I probably my least favorite page of the book. So yeah, maybe a 2. And now I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna show you all of the pages next to the color palette so we can see which one was the highest rated of the video. Here we go then. Let's go back to the first page we colored. I gave the color card a rating of 1.5 stars because I wasn't hoping for a darker color scheme. And initially I had given a higher rating to my interpretation of the color palette, but after comparing the card to my page again, I'm going to lower that and give it a 1. Then for the result, I think I need to practice glow effects a lot. I don't think it's as good as a 4.5, so I'm going to lower it to a 3.5. And if I sum all of that up and divide it and tally it, it gives us a final score of 2 stars out of 5 for my first page. Okay. Then we have the second page. I was shocked and had zero excitement about this color card, so I gave it a 1 star. My interpretation for it was a 3.5, and I gave the result a 4.25, but I still like it. And it's easier to tally the scores if it's rounder numbers, so I'm going to bump it up to a 4.5. So that gives us a final score of 3 stars out of 5, which I honestly think it's a little low. It should definitely be 4 or higher. And back to the last page we colored. I was really excited about the color card. I gave that one a 5, but then both my interpretation and the final result suck. So I gave it a 3.5 for interpretation initially, but looking back and reflecting, if I had used the exact same colors I chose in different areas, this page would have been more successful. So it's definitely my error there, and I think that deserves a 2. And yeah, the final result, I'm keeping the score a 2 out of 5 for the same reasons. It's not great. And that gives us an average and final score for this page of 3 out of 5, making the second page I colored today's winner, which I love because it was the color palette I was least excited for. What a surprise. Thank you so much to Sarah again for sending the cubes. I have been using them a lot to get out of my creative blocks, and today they gifted me hours of fun and discovery. And thanks again to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Don't forget to check them out. With that, I hope you had fun with the video too, and that I'll see you on the next one. Have the most wonderful day. Bye.